This is John from ticketmotorbikes.com, and in this video I'm going to try and explain some of the differences between a Chinese copy that you see backpackers buying and selling in the backpacker streets and a genuine authentic Honda that you'll see the locals driving, or the real rental companies online with reputations on websites such as TripAdvisor. So this on the right here is a genuine authentic Honda blade. If you walk into a Honda shop, you'll see these for sale at around $1,000. One of these bikes has a lot of legs on it. They are not going to break down. Similar to buying a car back home, these bikes will comfortably go up and down the country if looked after correctly without anything going wrong. They are amazing machines. They have a lot of power for a 110cc engine, solid to drive, and basically good bikes. In the middle here we have a Chinese copy of a Honda Future. Now this is what you'll see backpackers buying and selling to each other, or the random street dealers in the backpacker streets with no reputation. You go getting a Chinese bike and you're going to go up the country breaking down. They wobble around and have serious power problems. There's no pleasure in these bikes. They're basically toys, and actually quite rare in some ways. They really are just a backpacker thing. These range at around $100 to $300. In Hanoi, $100 to $200. Ho Chi Minh, $200 to $300, because most backpackers buy in Ho Chi Minh, finish in Hanoi, which creates too many Chinese bikes in Hanoi and not enough in Ho Chi Minh. But really there's very little practical use here. They exist because bikes here have a tax on them, which means they're more expensive than in other countries, sometimes out of the price range of a local, which is why maybe a farmer will have a bike like this, but they drive them very carefully and gently. They certainly don't smash them up and down the country like a backpacker will. They are toys. It's like trying to buy a $300 car. You don't expect it to work. Here we have a Honda Cub. Now this is a very, very old real Honda on the paperwork anyway, but in reality, because it's so old, all the parts have been maintained with Chinese components, which means actually it's now a Chinese bike. So Honda on the blue card, but Chinese in real life. Now this is a common scam in the backpacker area, which is why I've included it here. There is very little value difference between the Chinese Cub here that says Honda and the Chinese Honda Future. They're both Chinese bikes despite what the paperwork says, and you'll see it in the backpacker streets. People buy these Honda Winds that say they are Honda. They are not. Honda Winds are worth a lot of money. They're basically collector's items. You're not going to have a backpacker driving a Honda Wind. It's just not going to happen. Now here is a blue card. When you buy a bike in Vietnam, you expect to be given one of these. You can see here on the Honda blade, the genuine one, it says Honda here, and it was registered in 2016. In the middle, the Honda Future, you can see there is no mention of the word Honda on here. In fact, it's made by a random company called Zonux. And on the right, the orange Honda Cub. It says Honda on the blue card, 50cc. In reality, it's not. Now, I'm going to explain. There is a website in Vietnam called Char Dot, kind of a Vietnamese version of eBay. Now, I will link to it in the description of this video. You can go on here and see the prices that Vietnamese sell to each other, and you will find that Honda bikes do not drop below around $500. They are expensive. You'll also find you can have the same bike, same year, and they have huge variations in prices. Now this is because of the situation that I was explaining of with this Honda Cub. You can have a Honda bike that's half Chinese. It's a Honda that's been maintained with Chinese parts, and you'll find that locals do know the difference. They can see, is the bodywork Chinese or is it genuine? Is the engine genuine or is it Chinese? The locals know this, and it reflects within the prices. You, as an expat or backpacker arriving here, do not know this. So it's very difficult for you to make a judgment. Is a bike real or is a bike fake? And the paperwork is not going to help you here. So don't assume just because a bike is more expensive than another bike, but it's a rip-off. There might be some truth to it. Is it real? Is it fake? And that's why you got to use the reputable companies to decide this for you. Now at Ticket, we only buy our Hondas new when it comes to our rental business between Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh. This is how scared we are of the sort of Chinese parts, which are absolutely useless. We don't want to make mistakes, so we only buy our bikes new. You do need to be very, very careful. Now, I'll turn the bikes on here and you will hear some differences. You come to Vietnam, go to a backpacker street and see if you can do this. Touch the button, it turns on. You'll find everything works. it will have a speedo, a fuel gauge, it will be smooth to drive, and you'll have a smile on your face. If I rev the engine, there's no rattles or vibrations. It sounds like a quality vehicle. You don't need to be an expert. When you come to Vietnam, you drive a bike like this, you're gonna know it's good. Try and turn on this Future here. Now, normally they do have working electrics. This one is gone down a bit, but you can hear it's a completely different sound and vibrates a lot. I mean, this is just very basic level to know, but it just sounds horrible. Compare that to this again. I'll rev it a bit harder. It sounds clean and beautiful. So basically, if you come here, you want to get a real one. Over a journey, they're going to work out similar, if not cheaper, than a Chinese bike, because they don't need oil changes all the time and they don't break down. There's also safety concerns, and you'll find the stories are buried by people because of embarrassment. You come to Vietnam and your bike breaks down, snaps in half, or catches fire. There are plenty of YouTube videos of Honda Winds catching fire. In fact, there's even an official article on Tan News, Vietnamese local news, that has an Australian guy who ended up in hospital from a Honda Wind catching fire. So if you do care about safety, it's well worth getting a real one. Also, don't bother asking about the number of kilometers. It's an arbitrary question. Out on a Chinese bike, this is $5 to replace. If I want to change the 14,000 here to 0, it's going to cost me $5. Also, they don't have speedos anyway, so it doesn't go up. On a genuine Honda here, it's around 40 to replace this. And again, you'll find a lot of locals don't care about the speedo working, so they just don't bother fixing it, which means the kilometers doesn't go up. So when someone asks me for the kilometers, it's an arbitrary and pointless question. Even a year is fairly pointless because of the situation of being maintained with Chinese parts. The hard and unfortunate truth is you have to test drive the bike. Experience will tell you, is this real or is this not? And that's why you need to be using a company with a good online reputation, with warranties and coverage of breakdowns if things go wrong. Don't get a Chinese bike. It's not safe and it's not fun to drive. This is John from ticketmotorbikes.com explaining Chinese versus genuine Hondas.